People coming out with cancer, going back home again, going for their checkup, cured.
It's a clear night, there's no clouds or anything, and the moon and the stars, it's beautiful. I said, what's wrong with you? And he was holding on to me. He says, Paul, I can see Our Lady in the trees.
Came with 2 weeks to live. The clock had ticked down to 2 weeks according to the doctors. I went back to the doctors, they did all the tests, and they said that the Crohn's disease had totally disappeared.
Oče naš, jednom smo pitali Gospe, ma draga Gospe, zašto si tako lijepa?
When they asked her once, like, why you are so beautiful?
A Gospa je govorila, lijepa sam zato što ljubim.
And then Our Lady says, I am beautiful because I love.
On the 24th of June 1981, as 6 children from a small village in Bosnia-Herzegovina were walking in the hills, they witnessed something that would change their lives and the lives of millions forever. They said a bright light illuminated the sky, and there, floating above the hill before them, was the figure of a beautiful woman. This figure spoke to the children, telling them that she was the Blessed Virgin Mary, sent from God, with the gospel message of conversion. News of the apparitions quickly spread, and within days 15,000 pilgrims converged on the tiny village. Unlike the apparitions in Lourdes, Fatima and Knock, where Mary appeared only for a short time, these visions have continued to the present day. They have endured a communist regime, bitterly opposed to the Catholic Church, a bloody civil war where thousands were killed, yet the village remained unscathed, and ongoing skepticism from the Vatican, who refused to authenticate the visionaries' claims even after the children were subjected to extensive scientific tests. Despite these overwhelming obstacles, millions of pilgrims continue to flock to the shrine. This is their story. This is Medjugorje.
People come here and they're touched and their lives are changed because they find something that the world cannot give. And my faith was much strengthened through Medjugorje.
People with drug addictions, alcohol addictions, they're going up to Our Lady's shrine, praying to Our Lady. They're going home. I've had personal problems myself. I have came here, I've prayed to Our Lady, and I've went home. They're gone. How can you explain that? She's here for us. She brings us here.
The peace out here, an inner peace, a peace inside me, along with all the turmoil and fear and stress, that I was going to be okay. I put a lot of it onto the faith I was given here. I've always had some faith, but it just felt stronger and more alive.
Medjugorje to me is a wee bit of heaven on earth. And if anyone wants to find their God, I advise them to take a wee trip out to Medjugorje and speak to Jesus' mother, and she'll surely help them on their way to her son.
It's a phenomenon. No other apparition in the history of the church has ever lasted so long. Lourdes, Fatima, I mean, even our own Knock was 6 hours. But where do you start with 28 years? Especially when the visions are still taking place.
The visionaries have a message for the world. They are to urge people towards prayer, conversion, fasting, penance, and peace. While some of the visionaries only receive the message annually, 3 of the seers still have daily apparitions. Probably the most recognized of these is Vishka Ivankovich. Vishka was only 16 years old when she claimed the Mother of God first appeared to her. She continues to see her every day.
Jednom smo pitali Gospe, ma draga Gospe, zašto si tako lijepa?
When they ask her once, like, why you are so beautiful?
A Gospa je odgovorila, lijepa sam zato što ljubim.
And then Our Lady says, I am beautiful because I love.
Ma počnite ljubiti vi da bi bili lijepi.
So you have to start loving each others in order to become
Ali
beautiful.
ta ljepota ne dolazi s vanjske strane, ona dolazi iz dubine našeg srca i duše.
And she says that beauty is not outside beauty. That beauty comes from our soul, the beauty which comes from inside.
Can you please be so kind and make a little space for Vicka that she can pass?
Following her daily apparition, Vishka is greeted by hundreds of pilgrims who wait for hours to get close to her and to hear Mary's message.
The Irish are very attracted to Vicka because she's very outgoing. I think the minute that you look at her, you see that there's something special going on in her life. And that's very evident when she prays with the pilgrims at the end of her little talk on the steps of the house. She could pray for maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes, but there's this glow about her. There's this joy that's in her.
Vicka would like to greet all of you from the bottom of her heart. And she's going to share with us the main messages what Our Lady is giving to all of us. The main messages that Our Lady is giving to us are prayer, conversion, fasting, penance, and peace.
Ali ipak bi malo i sa svojim osmijehom pokazala ljudima da to nije to ništa puno, da to nije ništa strašno.
What she sees, it was reflected on their faces, is pain, like a pain that's visible on the eyes. And then she accepted God's will for her to be able to smile, for her to be able to show to the people that with a smile you can make so much.
Da srijedom I petkom posto kruhu I vodi, a najvažnije je što traži čvrstu vjeru.
She had a brain tumor, she's been in a coma, and all through that, even over the last number of years, she's had major problems with her back because the pilgrims, particularly the Italian ones, would be trying to touch her and would be pulling her and pull her off the steps of the house. So she has suffered, certainly in my time here in Medjugorje, with her back.
West Belfast man Reggie Donnelly began his pilgrimage 22 years ago and has been bringing thousands of Northern Ireland pilgrims ever since.
1987, I decided I would organise a pilgrimage, and I came out here, and at this time when I got out, there was no houses. The houses were little small hamlets. The women or the families got out of their beds, let you sleep in their beds, and they slept on the floor. I had 30 people, and it took me from 2 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock
that morning to get them into accommodation. I had to go around rapping doors. People would say, well, I can only take 2, well, I can take 1, and that's the way we done it. I mean, you see people in that church 5 o'clock in the morning, church never closed. And it was just after the operation had ended, and the word M-I-R appeared across the sky in large words, large writing. Mir, 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 which means peace, peace, peace. So I had no doubt of that Medjugorje was 100% genuine.
Dublin-born David Parks had been told by his doctor that he had only 2 weeks to live when he first visited the shrine.
The good news is miracles take place. 99 pounds in weight, severe pain, bent over, gaunt, cheekbones coming through the skin of my cheeks and my eyes somewhere back here. So after 2 hours, Anne said to me, why don't you have a blessing? You've been very ill, and the doctors and all. So 2 hours later, I decided I'd experience it. He placed the crucifix in my right hand, and then he dipped his thumb in the oil and he anointed me in the forehead. And then the next thing I remember was being on the ground. But in all that confusion, I hadn't realized that there was an intense burning heat in my body. And I went from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. And I'd never experienced anything like that prior to Medjugorje or since Medjugorje. But from that day to this, the aches, the pains, the vomiting and the diarrhea instantly disappeared. Since 1989, my life has been turned upside down. This beautiful lady here entered into my life. The guys in the band who had seen me 2 days before coming out here, expecting me to come back in a coffin, they just couldn't believe that from a person who was bent over was now standing up straight. I put on 5 pounds in weight in the week that I was here in Medjugorje. The colour had come back to my cheek, my face was beginning to fill out. And 5 hardened drinking musicians cried in the Burlington Hotel because of what they've seen. And then 6 months later, then I went back singing. And then in September of 1993, I gave it all up and started doing Christian music all over the world.
I mean, the moment you get off the bus, everyone says the same thing in the village. It's this peace that they cannot explain. It's a peace that comes over them. And all their problems and difficulties, they don't seem to worry about them.
I mean, I know a lot of people come here for the visionaries because it's, you know, we're human after all. But when you arrive here, you realise it's not about the visionaries. It's just the peace. And where it's so evident, apart from the Church of St. James, is on the Apparition Hill. I mean, for me, I can almost touch the peace. It's that tangible there.
In the early years of the visions, the children were put under enormous pressure by the communist regime to retract their stories.
Reading the accounts of the early days, this first 7 days, when the police were coming after them, they had dogs. They chased them, chased through the fields, on the mountains, by them to try and frighten them, to tell them, listen, you know, this is, to tell the world this is a hoax. Their families were persecuted. Some of their fathers were put in jail. Father Yozo was put in jail because of them.
Local Franciscan priest, Father Yozo Zovko, came to the children's aid and provided refuge in St. James's Church, where the visions continued on a daily basis.
The 26. počinje patnja.
24th of June in 1981, the suffering started.
Problem.
A big problem.
Milion pitanja.
Million questions.
I milion neprijatelja.
And million enemies, Father says.
Progonitelja.
They were persecutors.
Tako je počela naš križ, naša kalvarija.
That's how our Calvary, our cross started.
Che possiamo convertire il tuo figlio con la preghiera.
Shortly after Our Lady began appearing to the visionaries, she revealed that she would give each of them 10 secrets. These secrets would be a warning that unless the world turned to God through prayer, fasting and conversion, mankind would face severe chastisement. The third secret is the only one that has been partially revealed.
Treća tajna, tajna vidljivog znaka koji će Gospa ostaviti na mjestu kazanja.
The third secret is about the visible sign that will be left at the apparition site.
Koji će biti trajan, vidljiv i neuništiv, koji ostaje za stalno.
The sign is going to be visible, permanent, undestroyable. It's going to remain until the end of the world.
I za svoju prisutnost potvrda da je Gospa među nama.
And it's also going to be confirmation of her presence, that she was amongst us.
Since the visions began, pilgrims have been drawn to the site on Apparition Hill, seeking answers through prayer.
Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
I want to be in Medjugorje. I have a desire to keep coming to Medjugorje, because I've lived the other side of life of darkness, and God has done for me what I could not do for myself.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
I couldn't stop drinking, and I mean I couldn't. And I couldn't stop drugging, and I couldn't stop living the way that I was living. High cars, fighting, the whole stuff. I couldn't change my life around. I've done everything sincerely to try. I put my heart of hearts into stopping, and couldn't do it. But I'm not off myself anymore. I'm of a power greater than me that I choose to call God.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
Former professional bodybuilder Liam Stewart found his faith after a near-death experience when he was pronounced dead 3 times on the operating table.
When I came out of the coma, the only thing that I would talk about is the experience that I had down in the theatre room, that I met my younger brother who had died. We were holding hands, and I was so glad to see him. He was wearing his white suit and his red tabby bow and a red flower. And we were walking away in this cloud of whiter than white. When I snapped my hand back, and I told him that Mommy and Daddy, my children, need me. And he smiled at me, and he walked away. And it was like that guy came back into the shell, and I loved against all odds. And I have peace of mind. I know where my 2 brothers are today. My 2 brothers are in heaven, without a shadow of a doubt.
Tamo ne borave magi, kartomani, vračari.
There are no fortune tellers or any kind of these people that they can tell you what is going to happen to you.
Sa svojim porukama.
But Our Lady with her messages. So to climb Apparition Hill barefoot, fasting, by praying, then our chains, they break.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia.
Po sepenju sve na više i više brdo, ostavljajući za sebe svijet.
And then they try to climb, you know, higher and higher barefoot, and they are leaving the other people. They're accepting their own life. And by climbing, they're changing.
Deeply affected by the tragic loss of his two brothers, Liam, like many other pilgrims, carries his cross up Apparition Hill.
What I done a few years ago, I went up the hill in my bare feet for one brother. And God rest Alan, who had a more troubled life as sin. I decided to come down the mountain on my bare feet for Alan. And I got a lovely plaque done last year, a memorial plaque, up on the big cross on the hill of my two brothers. Jared, 28, Alan, 35, from Derry in Northern Ireland and stuff. And there's been ones coming back to me who've been out here pilgrimage saying, seen your plaque up on the big hill, your two brothers and stuff. So they're getting extra mileage out of prayers and stuff, I think. Can't be bad.
Zato smo svi sretni.
And that's why we are all happy.
I zato traje ta gospa.
And that's why Our Lady is still here.
U srcu čovjekovom.
And Father says it's like a bell ringing in the heart of people.
Ti si dragocjen u mojim očima, ja te ljubim.
And you are so precious in my eyes, and I really love you.
Urezao sam te u dlanove svoje, u srcu
I carried you in the palm of my hand and in my heart.
Ti si moj.
And you are mine.
Although the Franciscan order supported and indeed protected the visionaries, the wider church was not so convinced. So in March 1983, the Bishop of Mostar commissioned an investigation on Medjugorje, which questioned the visionaries' claims and threw into serious doubt the validity of the shrine itself. The findings were never made official, but it was rumored that the Commission's report found that the seer's claims could not be proven. These doubts did not stop the pilgrimages, as believers flocked to the shrine in ever greater numbers than before. Such was the strength of their faith.
Pa kaže, živa crkva smo mi i bitno je da mi prihvatimo i živimo njezinu poruku, a ovo za drugo.
A lady says that she thinks that we are, every single one of us is a living church. So we are the church. It's important for us to accept the Medjugorje because we are the church. But when it comes to the authorities, church authorities, when it comes to leaders, let her take care of that. She will take care of that.
I mean, the first years out, I felt very blessed to touch one of the visionaries. Shaking her hand was Visca. And the boys were saying, look, I'm coming here 10 years and never got near her at all. So I've been photographed with Visca blessing me, and I have her above my bed in my bedroom and stuff. And I draw a bit of strength from that. Because to me, she's the truth. And her message is the truth. And her words, and she's total inspiration to me.
Događa ovdje u Međugorju i sama prisutnost Gospina da svaki dan nebo siđe na zemlju, da Gospa dođe među nas. Nikad ne bi rekla nekome ti moraš vjerovati.
But when it comes to Medjugorje and what happens here in Medjugorje, we're very, very privileged. The heaven opens every day and a lady comes to us every single day. But every single day when she comes, we always pray for those people who don't believe, who didn't acknowledge what we know, who didn't accept her yet, that they believe, that they are able to realize what a great joy is it to be with her, to believe in her.
I was up at Visca's, outside Visca's house, and she was speaking, and just looking at her, and just her reaction to people, and her blowing kisses, and her waving, and, you know, it's just beautiful, you know, and you can just sense that Our Lady's there. You can just sense that Our Lady's there, and I can sense that my mum's there as well, you know.
Emmanuel's mother died on her pilgrimage to Medjugorje.
It took us 10 days to get her back home, and it was a nightmare. It devastated my family. My dad, you know, he was just racked over it. You know, he was so distressed. It was so hard to imagine. But for me to come out here, knowing that she died here, I didn't know what to expect. But when I did come out, I just loved it. I sensed it, and I sensed her. I had the faith. I knew that my mum was brought out here to die, that Our Lady had brought her out here. This is my 3rd trip out in a year, and every time I come out, she's here with me, you know. And see, to be honest, I am glad she did die here, because it's brought me closer to God, and it's brought my family closer to God.
A ovo zašto se ljudi mijenjaju, Gospa nas I poziva na promjenu.
And why people are changing? Because Our Lady is really calling us to change.
Jer Gospa ne traži da mi to prenosimo previše riječima, nego mi svojim životom I primjerom možemo svjedočiti drugim okolo nas.
Our Lady is not asking from us, you know, to just to talk about these things, but we're supposed to testify with our life and with our example to the other people.
All I want to do in my life now is do good. I wasn't an angel when I was younger. Since I've started coming out here, all I want to do is good. All I want to do is help people. I want to help people up the mountain. I want to help old age pensioners, the people that do struggle over here. And there's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of elderly come over here. And I know that Our Lady's given me that gift to do that. And I love doing it. And it's Medjugorje has done this to me.
As the number of pilgrims grew, so too did the number of sightings of strange phenomena, such as the sun spinning in the sky and Mary appearing in strange and wonderful places.
I don't expect to come out to Medjugorje and Our Lady to appear to me. As soon as I get here, I know she's here. I can feel it. You know, I can feel her presence here. I can just feel the love here. And yes, you do see the sun spinning and you hear different stories, but each individual has their own different story. I've heard people coming out with cancer, going back home again, going for their checkup, cured. I've heard people who have seen angels coming down the mountain, people helping them down the mountain.
My name's Paul McCullough. I'm 62 years old, coming to 63. Most of my life, I walked through it in darkness. And I used to remember the song, "We're Going to Party to 1999. And I was making sure that I was partying to 1989.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for sinners, now at the hour of our death. Amen.
After reluctantly attending a prayer group, Paul turned his back on his old life and took a new path, a path that would lead him to Apparition Hill.
I came to Medjugorje with my wife and a friend called Jim McGreevy. And Jim McGreevy's sister had just died, so he's had a hard time, so I put my arm around him. Because he was taking it bad then, like, and we started praying going down the mountain. But I realised as we were walking down the mountain that he was still looking in front of him, because I was watching where my feet were going. But he was in such pain and in a trance, he was actually looking straight out in front of him. And you know what it's like, there's rocks everywhere and holes, and you just gotta look where you're going. And I stopped him and I said to him, "Can I ask you a question, Jim?" He said, "Have you ever looked down at the ground coming down there?" And he kind of came out of a bit of a trance. He says, "When I think of it, no, I haven't." I says, "Would you do something for me?" He says, "Yeah." I says, "Turn around and look behind you." And he turned around and he says, "My God, I didn't come down there, did I?" I says, "Yeah, you did." I says, "But I think you were carried down. I don't think you walked down."
We would hear on a daily basis, you know, about the sun spinning, the host coming into the center of the sun, the cross disappearing on top of the mountain, Our Lady appearing on top of the mountain. But that's maybe what the Lord needs to do for them. Maybe that's what they need to begin to rekindle their faith, or begin to realize that God can do so many different things. And that's the way I like to look upon it, that the Lord can do anything.
For those pilgrims who experience the Medjugorje phenomena, the effects can be overwhelming.
I've been sitting for a while and I was thinking of my niece who wasn't well, and was just removed. Just like, I thought, you know, I was saying something, because I look out and I would see the mountain, I would see the cross, and I thought, it's disappeared. And I kept seeing this white thing and I thought it was my imagination, you know, just a small thing at first coming up the mountain. And I kept sitting there and I was writing, and I stopped writing thinking about my niece. And I'd been writing about other people, and I looked over and I thought, God, will I say something, because I feel it's stupid. And then I said, "Teresa, have a look at this." I said, "There's just something there. It's like the Eucharist at first," I thought. I said, "But it looks like Our Lady." And Teresa came over and confirmed it. We kneeled down, we did the rosary, and then the cross started coming, and I thought, gosh, did I really see that? But I know I did, and I got her to confirm it, and she's seen it as clear.
I don't know, it's just something changed within our hearts. It hasn't. We can't. I just can't. I can't explain it.
You never heard nothing.
There was no words or anything. Just we knew the cross had disappeared. We knew Our Lady was there in front of us. We saw the mountain, the clouds dancing behind her, and Our Lady was. I said, "Bernie, she's moving," and she said yes. It was just excitement, and the tears and the sobbing and the crying, and we just said our rosary, and that was it.
With the church casting serious doubts on the visionaries' claims, the Franciscans ironically turned to science to prove their authenticity. The results of these scientific tests would divide opinions even further, as they concluded that the visionaries were not simulating their experiences, and that the apparitions were neither dreams nor hallucinations. But still the church remained unconvinced.
They've all gone through the testings and probing, and during the course of the ecstasy they've prodded them with needles, and they've never moved, the eyes never flinched, so they didn't feel anything. So, I mean, it's well documented. Nothing is ever detracted from what they said. It's always been the truth.
Papa mi je rekao,
Holy Father told
čuvaj
me,
mi Međugorje.
Look
Čuvajte
after
na
Medjugorje,
Međugorje.
look after
To je
Medjugorje.
proročki rečeno.
And these were the words of the
Ja sam ga
prophet.
doslovno shvatio.
And Father says, I took that literally.
Jer Međugorje ima svoje neprijatelje.
Because Medjugorje has
Zašto se tu
enemies.
događaju obraćanja.
Because there are so many
Jer
conversions happened
ne
in this
zaboravimo da
village.
ima neprijatelj koji sije kukolj.
And you always have to understand that there are people who are enemies and who are trying, to distract us from this or that.
I talked on the bus for 3 hours coming down about Medjugorje and about prayer and about why we're coming. And there was one man there sitting on the bus. And I got off the bus, he says, I would need to talk with you. I said, certainly. I know what the story was. He's 76 years of age. And he hasn't been in a Catholic church or near a church for 60 years. So I brought him up to confession, and he went. As he took what he said to me, he felt like a little child when he came out of the confessional. His whole face was transformed. His whole body language was changed. And he felt a different person. And that's the greatest of all miracles, be converted. Father Yojo prayed with a man here now just while I was here, an American with a brain tumour, but not only the tumour was big, it actually gone blind, and his eyes were coming out of their sockets. And Father Yojo just put his hands on his head and prayed with him. He was miraculously restored to perfect sight. That was a great miracle. The Lord granted him the grace of healing, physical healing. But the greatest healing to me is the healing of the soul.
Had said that Our Lady wants us to go to confessions, and it doesn't matter whether you've any sins you really need to tell or something, they still go and they talk to the priest, and the priest is there to advise you and to help you. And I went to confessions last night, and the priest talked to me, and the isolation and loneliness that I feel at times, and which is really hard, I thought that was just my cross. And, you love God, you carry your cross and He'll help you carry it. And the priest told me that no, that's not God's plan for you. God doesn't want me to be lonely and isolated and unhappy. That isn't my cross. That God does have plans for me, and that His plan for me is that He wants me to be happy and full of joy. He told me to bring it back to Mary, to tell her that I need help, and that she'll sort it for me.
Mother of 6, A.D. McCrory's faith and life was torn apart after the sudden breakup of her marriage.
It wasn't just my marriage that fell apart, it was my faith didn't fall apart, but it was severely shaken to the core. Not that I lost belief or anything, or even that I was angry, I just didn't understand anything anymore. I didn't want it to be that way. And I'd lived a while in the run-up to Medjugorje that I didn't reject God, but I was going along a path I didn't want to go along because it wasn't the spiritual path I wanted. I didn't really want to. I wanted to know God and to love God and to be close to God and to get strength from God, not to just do my own thing and sort of think, oh well, he loves me anyway, he'll forgive me.
Ja, jer kad vidiš ovako, Gospa uvijek dadne, iako je tužna, ali ti dadne uvijek jedan osmijeh nade. Tako nije on neki jaki, ali osjetiš da ti u tom momentu dadne snagu da možeš prihvatiti, razumiti kolika je njezina bol.
In the moment when she comes to us, when she appears, and when she is sad, she always gives us a hope, like a smile that is able to say to us, there is hope, believe.
Gospa uvijek daje nadu, samo do nas je.
A lady always gives us a hope,
Zato je među nama.
but it is up to us. We are the ones who will make decision whether the hope and the good will prevail or not. That's why she came amongst us.
Of the 6 visionaries, only Ivanka, Mariana and Yakov have received all 10 secrets from Mary, the Mother of God, and no longer have daily apparitions. Maria, Ivan and Vishka have still only received 9 secrets. And until the 10th secret is revealed, they continue to have frequent apparitions.
Ovako imam 9 tajni, još čekamo jednu.
I have 9 secrets. I'm awaiting for the 10th.
A drugo, ove ostale tajne, kad bude vrijeme, onda će Gospa govoriti kad će koja doći, tako da mi ne znamo još ništa.
This is what I'm able to say. When it comes to the other secrets, when a lady says that the time for those secrets is to be explained and revealed to the whole world, we're going to do that. We don't know when that is going to happen.
When I listened to Vishka, when I went up to her, listened to her yesterday, and she was talking just about her experiences of her visions and what Our Lady's messages are and what Our Lady wants, I would say for the first time ever, I just felt a really strong feeling that Our Lady was there with me, and it wasn't like an apparition that, suddenly proved to me, oh yes, there's Our Lady, she's real, It was just this strong feeling that she is here with me and that she wants to be a mother to me and that I can turn to her and that she'll help me. You can be very lonely. You can be surrounded by 6 children and be very lonely. And I was lying in bed one night and I could hear people outside, the laughing and the crying and the joking, and I didn't know who it was or anything, but I just knew I wasn't part of it. And I did. I actually cried that night. Not and I'd sort of lie down and cry, but I think I cried Like, I cry from my soul, just, I'm lonely. Please, I'm lonely, do something. And the next night I was sitting in that crowd of people with them, having a bit of crack. And to me that was Our Lady. And it was just me to them. And that mightn't sound like a big spinning song or apparition or anything else, but it was very real to me.
See, the world has lost the sense of prayer. People don't pray today. And there are people say prayers, but that's not prayer. You pray with your lips, our Blessed Mother says, but your hearts are far from me. Like you take it back home in Ireland, Belfast, you're looking for the quickie mass. To get in and out as quick as you can. You come out here and you can pray for 6 hours with no difficulty. People don't want to go home. I mean, the adoration outdoors at 10 to 11, there was 10,000 people there. And that's every Wednesday and every Saturday night. And those people have been at maybe an early mass, back again for another mass, back for prayers in the church, praying all day. They're coming closer to God. And it must bear fruit. And it does bear fruit.
As the number of pilgrims continued to grow, pressure mounted on the Vatican to take a stance and approve Medjugorje as an official Marian shrine. Even more extensive psychological and neurological tests were carried out on the visionaries. These tests indicated that the apparitions altered the subject's consciousness, placing them into a state of ecstasy, and concluded that this could not be fabricated.
Koji su dolazili iz čitavog svijeta, doktora, teologa, psihijatara, svi vrsta tako.
When it comes to the scientists, there were many scientists, there were many doctors, there were many psychiatrists, psychologists, and they all stayed for a certain number of years until the point where a lady just said, that's enough, no more.
To this day, the Church continues to reserve judgment on the authenticity of the shrine.
I just think that the Church is afraid that it'll make the wrong decision. I think it's afraid that it'll make one decision and then having to go back over it again and then maybe to change it. So it doesn't bother me that the Church hasn't approved it. And I think it's a good thing that the bishop is against it, because I think we can all go off hocus pocus and be raising our hands and saying that everything is right. But, you know, they've never deviated from what they say. It's always been the truth. And the difficulty is that there are ongoing visions at the moment, and I think until they stop, you know, the Commission can't really get started into the fruits of Medjugorje.
Like Vishka, Maria Pavlovich has yet to receive her 10th and final secret. Hundreds gather as she waits for her apparition on the 24th day of every month.
Zdravo Mario, milost.
Many believe that where there is good, there is also evil, and that Satan is present in and around the shrine.
There are sometimes, particularly when you would experience Satan more than, particularly at Easter time, we would seem to get a lot of people who would come who seem to have a possession of some sort. You know, they would be wriggling along the floor of the church, at the elevation of the host, at the Mass. These animal sounds would come from within people, you know, like monster sounds or demonic sounds. And it frightens a lot of pilgrims because they say, oh, I'm coming to Medjugorje, and that doesn't happen, it's a holy place. But, you know, he's everywhere. This lady accosted me after one of the concerts, and she was talking about Redlegs and what Redlegs was doing to her. And Redlegs was interflated. Her family was so at war, and there was so. And I said, well, wait, who's Redlegs? And she said, oh, Satan. I said, gosh, why do you call him Redlegs? She said, well, if you were standing in the fires of hell, your legs would be red too.
What was once a tiny rural village is now a bustling commercial centre. This growth in prosperity has prompted even further criticism.
She said that she chose these people here because of their strong faith. And that faith is still here. It might be covered a little by ugly architecture that you see on the outside, by so many commercial shops that are really not very nice to the eye, but I still see that faith. I still see that strong faith in God and in people. Our Lady is God's mercy. So if God is being so loving and so merciful to send us His Mother, we should respond to that love. I think Our Lady is helping us to go back to our own roots. You know? She's helping us to discover our true identity as creatures before God. So I hope that people can really fall in love with Our Lady. She'll lead us to Jesus.
The shrine of Medjugorje has survived war, been rocked by controversy, and it has even been doubted by its own church. But still, millions of pilgrims come.
Čovjek povratkom iz Međugorja se osjeća bogat.
You see, when person is going back from Medjugorje, he feels really wealthy, rich.
Osjeća ništa meni ne fali.
And he feels like, I'm not missing anything.
Ja sam našao odgovor.
Because I found the answer.
Ja nosim moju perlu kući.
And I'm bringing my pearl back home.
Ja sam bogat čovjek.
I'm a rich man.
I pray every single day in life. I pray for all my friends, relatives, people who's asked me to come out to Medjugorje and pray for them. I don't forget. And most alcoholics in Derry too. People's a misunderstanding. I stop and talk to them all. But for the grace of God, there go I. And I'm great friends with them all. I don't be intimidated by none of them at all. I know they're all big hearts and I know they're sick.
When my wife took ill with cancer, I spoke to our Blessed Mother, just as I'm speaking to you, and she spoke back, and I can't explain. I didn't see nothing, but I heard like an interior voice, and her words were very simple. She says, "Reggie, I cannot heal. Only the Father can heal." She said to me, "Reggie, I just want to tell you, Mary's in heaven with myself and my divine love, and she can do more for you and the children in heaven than she could ever do on earth, and not to be afraid to call on her intercession." What more do you want? But that's all we're living. We're only here to reach eternal salvation. If we have any other reason for being on this earth, I can't fathom it, I can't understand it.
Going home's tough. It's so hard to leave Medjugorje and go back to Belfast again, back to your problems and back to all the hustle and bustle of ordinary everyday life. It's just the peace and the tranquility and the love out here. And my own experience, I was out last year and I seen people just crying the day they were going home. They were just crying because they had to leave Medjugorje. But I pray to God that I'll be back, and Our Lady will bring me back here.
The only reward I want is eternal happiness. I hope when I go to the gates of heaven, as an old priest said to me in Medjugorje, "Reggie, when you get to the gates of heaven, the Lord will come out and he'll say, 'Reggie, will you come in? My ma's talking about you.'" That's it. Simple as that.